Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Behemoth. Behemoth. Let's say hello to the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well. Because I'm kind of a behemoth myself.
Yeah. 18. All right. Also joining us is the one and only Dave Dreher. How you doing, Dave?
Hello, gentlemen. How's everyone tonight?
Doing good.
Very
Are
good.
we feeling good after watching this prize-winning film?
Oh my God! Stop with the prize-winning stuff. Yes, yes. All right. So what we're going to do, folks? We're going to review Behemoth. We're going to give our first impressions. That will be spoiler-free. And then we'll dive into a discussion, which we're going to get into spoilers. We have to discuss this film. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we get into the review, we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you like this review and many others we have on the site. And if you would like to help out, it would be great. It would be easy, and it's free. You hit the subscribe button down below. You share with a friend. Awesome. Of course, hitting that little bell down there will let you get reminded of when we do more. And of course, we'd love to hear your comments. Please leave some comments. All right, let's see the card here, folks. And boom, Behemoth, 2021 from Level 33 Entertainment. It's available in theaters and on digital platforms August 27th, 2021. Directed by Peter Szewczyk. Something like that. Writer Peter Szewczyk. Why? I really try, but I have a thing. All right, and Derrick Ligas. The cast includes, but not limited to, Josh Eisenberg, Paul Statman, or is it Statman? Looks like Statman. Jennifer Churchich, Richard Wagner, and Whitney Nielsen. Names. The synopsis: a desperate father will risk anything, even his soul, to save his terminally ill daughter. Behemoth. Dave Dreher, you're up second. So we're going to start off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff.
Dave Dreher, you're up second.
Jeff, what was your first impression of
So I was looking forward to this. Because of the poster and some of the other information on it. But in general, I liked the overall, I'm
thinking the same thing.
The framework of the story, I think was interesting. And I don't know, I get in trouble when I say this because usually as soon as I say this, somebody will say the opposite. But I really like the effects. There's a fair amount of CGI in this. You could tell it's CGI, but I thought it was pretty good and it was interesting. But there's way, way, way too much dialogue. There's just and I know that's part of the story, and we can kind of get into what that is. But wow, this is one of those films, and I've done this before. It happens like once or twice a year, I think, where I'm just like, I'm watching the film and I'm going, get on with it. So that was kind of my downfall for this one. It took me out of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the visual effects are good because the visual effects supervisor, happens to be the director, and he is also the supervisor on like Thor, Dark World,
oh yeah,
Harry Potter. He worked on Avatar, 2012, Day the Earth Stood Still, and many, many more. We won't get into all of them, but
so I wasn't mixed up.
No, you weren't. It's very much the strength of the film. All right, Dave Dreher, sir, what was your first impression of Behemoth?
Well, I knew that information going into that this guy, this Peter, whatever his name was.
Try it. You can do it.
No, not doing it. He was a special effects dude. This reminded me a whole bunch of Harbinger Down. Remember Harbinger Down?
I do.
I think this guy just had like all these really cool ideas that he wasn't able to use in these films, like the infernal ram and all that stuff. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make this movie. I'm gonna find some way to shoehorn this shit into everything. And they kind of built the story around the effects. It's really how it seemed to me.
Mm.
So therefore, it was a very disjointed story. I felt it was, at least, with the sick kid and the chemical processor guy, and we get Satan, and we got infernal rams, and there's just all kinds of shit going on. Some of the stuff looked really great. Others looked really bad. Some of the I think they were trying to say or imply that we were like in some kind of a dreamy world or something, with the kind of smeared effects on the walls and stuff. Looked absolutely horrible. It was a very odd view for me. I think some of the effects were fantastic. I think other parts were just downright silly, and the wraparound story that they used to try to tie all those effects in, for me at least, just really didn't work.
Yeah. This film is another case where talk. I think, Jeff, that's what you actually text to everybody. Talk. The dialogue is so heavy-handed here. It's not natural, and it's overabundant. It's exposition, and it was so much. It made my head hurt. I mean, I did not enjoy watching this film. At the same time, like you said, there are moments in this film that are like, okay, that's actually kind of cool, but they are very few and far between. And there's times like when the special effects are, like the ram. I will say that the ram really impressed me, the demon ram, whatever the hell it was. And there's one particular moment that I really, really liked with it. But there's other times when, like, there's a car crash in there that is just really bad, really poorly done.
I like the car crash.
With the train,
I thought good.
I thought it was poorly done. And then there's like you said, there's this attempt to make things look like they're under the influence, and I don't think that worked as well as they thought it did. But I don't know. This movie, I was just like, what is going on? And I did have high hopes. We saw the trailer, and I saw the pedigree that's into it, and I said, okay, this has potential to come together and be something. And I will say that most of what really got me is just the dialogue. The dialogue in this is so forced and so much exposition. It doesn't feel natural, and it doesn't feel quirky, right? Like a Tarantino-ish film. It doesn't have that style to it, that the rhythm or anything to it. It's just this everybody yakety yak, and then something will happen and yakety yak, and it just wore on me thin. And I mean, I seriously got a headache watching this.
I don't think that'll be on the box.
Probably not. So what it seemed to me like, so there was two things. First, the lead character is always making excuses to his wife, and he's lying all the time and acting all indignant. It's like it got old. And then later on, what we're hearing is a religious, philosophical, ethical debate between him and this other character that just goes on unnecessarily long and wasn't really very interesting. I didn't think. Okay, I get it. He's trying to.
Well, he's an unsympathetic asshole.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
They make him the complete asshole right out of the gate, and if you're going to do that, there's got to be some growth. And they reach for it, but they miss. Right. They miss hard.
Yeah, I mean, you feel bad for him because his daughter's in the hospital, but
you feel like, dude, this is your fault. But at the other time, and then his supporting characters are assholes too. It's a group of assholes. It's an asshole farm, and they've got So they go and kidnap another. They kidnap another asshole, and now they have asshole conversations, and they are being chased by a big monster asshole who is. And then they call somebody up, and guess what? She's an asshole too.
Well, and then weren't they implying that the guy that was chasing them? I'm getting it wrong, but he was some type of a super warrior or something. One time they kind of imply that his blood is acid, or I don't know if they were.
Well, it does. Yeah, it does. They do. Yeah.
I mean, they implied something very demonic in him at all times. Yeah.
But there again, there's no resolution. But then
isn't there?
Well, there is, but the way they dispatch of him, and again, I don't want to get too spoilery, is for something that is that superhuman. That was too easy to dispatch of him in that fashion.
It was creative. I will give him
creative, but there's no way that's what's going to take him out. It's not. I mean, come on. The guy is bleeding acid. Give me a break. I don't know. It just it didn't seem fulfilled. Again, it seemed to me like he just had this really cool effect idea, and they tried to build this character around it. Yeah. And I don't know. It didn't work.
Well, I mean, yeah, it didn't. The guy Lewis, right? Lewis Wolin, played by Paul Statman. He his character was very strange too, because he would waver between being, the it guy to being a subordinate, right? And especially after that phone call, and it just got really weird. And like, go ahead and put the bag back on him. I'm done. I liked him though. I liked the actor. I mean, I liked all the actors.
Right,
I thought the cast was actually fairly interesting. Although, the big guy was a little wooden, but that was fine. It fit the character, oddly enough. I don't know. The movie just, to me, it just way too much dialogue.
Yeah.
Show me, don't tell me, show me.
Yeah. Once they get to that hotel room, it just, because the opening's not bad. I mean, things escalate rather quickly in that first 15 minutes of the movie up to the kidnapping. I was kind of invested up till the kidnapping, and then when they got to the hotel and it just became him taped to that chair, and
he spends a long time taped to that chair.
right, and it's just, I mean, what it is I feel like we were hearing. It'd be like going to a debate team meet or something, and this Lewis Wolin is debating with everybody and trying to, talk him into thinking and taking.
Well, he's doing the monkey paw devil deal kind of thing, but
yes,
at the same time, it was just like.
No, I'm with you. It's too much. I mean, you could cut it in half and get the same effect, I think.
But it was so heavy-handed. Like, the boyfriend, right? His best friend, who was a boyfriend to the Kaylee girl who liked both of them. He was his whole motivation was so heavy-handed. It was in our face and hammered in our heads, and then it literally yak back and forth about it over and over again. Even after he's gone, they're still talking about it. It was too much. So you've got to reel that back in, and you got to hit those points quick and make better points and strong. And we need some visuals, we need something to, I don't know. I never cared about these characters, right? I from the onset, I felt like he was a selfish asshole, and so I wasn't invested in his thing at all. Even though he had to do these things, if they could have validated him by not being such, by showing, even though he has the character flaw of being an asshole, that he was righteous in some way, his motivation in some way. Other than what they did, it would have worked. It was just like, dude, you're just, I'm just not invested from the onset. So it made everything difficult. And then, I don't know, there was a couple, okay, just throw that aside real quick. There's a couple characters in here that I was like, wow, that's bad. There's one character that gives them the hotel room that I'm not sure.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
I'm not really sure what they were trying to communicate. It's either trying to be inclusive or trying to be very offensive, because I don't think it was either. Well, no, I think it was actually more offensive than inclusive. It just was really weird and really wooden and really odd and out of place. And
I mean, it definitely kind of came across as almost like a transsexual.
To me, it was kind of like offensively bad. And then, for a character, right? There was no nuance. And I apologize to the actor that did it. But it was just like, this really is a misstep. And I thought it was trying to be quirky and off-putting and didn't succeed, right? It didn't. They're at this rundown, beat up hotel that looks like one that had been like closed forever, right? It looks like, one of those. If you ever been location scouting for an independent low budget film, these are the places you're looking for. And
this is one of those motels with the exterior doors that has seen much better days, right?
Yes, and half the place is boarded up. So yeah, you get the idea that this is in where this is and what's happening. But at the same time, it didn't mean anything, right? It didn't play out the way I think they wanted it to. I didn't feel, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. Guys,
is that a loss for words?
Help me out here.
No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, and I found myself thinking literally like, enough with the dialogue. Let's see some more cool stuff, and that's not good. That meant I was bored with the story. I wanted to see some more of the imagination of the effects.
And it was telegraphed. You knew where it was going, which is fine if you can ride that. And I think it was always ahead of them. That wave was always ahead of them. They were behind it, trying to catch up. There are times when the effects were interesting. Like I think they called it a doppelganger that was out there. It was, it was this effect look and this effect look, and they called it a doppelganger. And it was okay. And the ram, the ram didn't make sense at first. Like, what the hell's going on with this ram? I mean, okay, he's being chased by something. It means something, right? And then of course the ram head shows up on the wall, which was one element that I was really interested in, because Ram's eyeballs look weird.
Yes. Goats.
Rams, goats. The little. I don't even know how to. I don't know enough about them, but they have a bar. Anyway, and then of course the last 10, 15 minutes are worth watching. Visually, they're actually very interesting. It's some kinetic and stuff's happening, and it's full on balls to the wall. It just getting there was wasn't edited or paced well enough to make it interesting. Dialogue is my biggest grief. If you hadn't figured that out.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Let's give it our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And of course, Jeff, you know what this means. You're up first, dude. Woo-hoo!
So I think we've kind of beat this to death. I think it's your typical how much do I want to give away? It's your typical bargain with the devil type thing, right? Mm-hmm. That you don't know what you're getting, you don't know who you're dealing with, and so they kind of set this guy up, and I get where the story's going, and the story itself isn't bad. It's just all this dialogue. It just interrupts the flow and the feeling, the atmosphere. Loved for the most part the effects, and I'm probably going to pick the one that really got me to say, like when we saw the ram chasing him right at the beginning.
Yes.
And it was all sort of hide hanging off it and blood and bare bones. I was like, holy crap, what the hell is going on, right? And I'm going to say my favorite scene is right after that when the guy, there's somebody that gets hit on the highway and he goes flying and spinning and rolling down the road. That surprised me. Usually you don't see that much detail, I don't think.
It was very graphic. Yeah.
In the body position, all that stuff. I'm going with that. It's early on. I'm not giving away too much. And I'm going to give this a 2.75. Just because I really like the effects. It could have been a way better watch, I think, with the dialogue. So that's being generous, but in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there it is.
There it is. Dave Dreher, sir.
That is.
Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene, sir.
Yep. Jeff picked a good favorite scene. That was a good. I actually forgotten about it until he mentioned it, but that was actually a really well done scene. There's another one of those ones that's just kind of a mess. It's all over the place. It still feels like they just tried to shoehorn a story around some really great effects that they had. It didn't do too much for me. Definitely very wordy. I felt at times, sometimes like way overacted, and maybe in some cases underacted, which made it feel very uneven. So that's what I'm going to go with on this. It's just a very uneven film. Mm-hmm. I think it's a bad film made by some very talented people.
I like that. Yes.
So, favorite scene, I'm going to go with the dispatching, and I don't want to give too much of it away, but there's a really good gore scene with the friend who, for some reason, wanders off and ends up.
I thought about that.
Ends up on a fence in a rather precarious position.
Yes.
Which was good. I thought that was very well done. A good gore scene. I'm going to give us a 2.25. Watch it at your own risk. There's some decent stuff in there, but you're not going to come away with it thinking that you've watched a masterpiece.
At your own risk. All right. Well, you guys are very, very kind to this movie. To me, this I think you said it the best, Dave. It is. It's a really bad movie made by very, very talented people, from the actors to everybody involved. The director, I think the biggest problem is the dialogue for me. I think that's obvious. I know the biggest problem is the dialogue. It took me out of the movie. And you're right. It is uneven. It's and that's some of it's pacing and editing, and then some of it is just it's in this room for a long time, and I'm not really sure it needed to be, but it's fine that it is. But at the same time, nothing until the last 20 minutes. Okay, so the last 20 minutes, does a lot with that room. But up until it, I'm not a fan of this movie, and I'm giving it a 1.5.
Woo!
Oh man,
I really
he goes deep.
I really think, and I, me, I feel terrible about saying that, but I really do not like this movie. My favorite scene, however, is during the time when I actually thought, hey, this movie might actually be good. Didn't last long. It is during the finale, so I am giving some part away, but I'm not really giving it all away. The ram that we see early on ends up being mounted. His head is mounted. They find it, right? It's mounted in the hotel room that they go to for some reason. There's a ram's head mounted in a hotel room. And there's at one point he's tripping balls, and there's a hole in the wall, and he literally thinks he's seeing hell. And the ram is going full Evil Dead 2, right? It's doing the deer from Evil Dead, and he looks through the hole and he sees the back side of it, and so you can see that he's actually like, I love that. I thought that was so cool. And then it pulls itself free. That I thought was amazing. Really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed what happened after that. But that got me going.
Yeah, another good scene. That was a good scene. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I think that's really like 5 minutes from the end.
Yeah, it literally is.
And it doesn't spoil anything, though, I don't think.
No.
Does it?
No, I don't think it does.
Okay. All right. There you go. That's our review for Behemoth. Enemies have been made, and we apologize. You can let us have it in the comments. I really want to know what I missed, because I feel like I probably did miss a lot. I don't know. If Crystal was here, she would tell me to shut up now. So I'm going to.
There you go.
There's our review for Behemoth. Look for it. It's out in certain theaters and on digital VOD. So check it out and let us know what you think down below. Dave, Jeff, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, sir, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.
Magazine.